In this video, I'll be going over 5 fragrances from Givenchy, and they're in the Gentleman collection. If you're interested in 5 really good fragrances from Givenchy, stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's Peter from Central. On this channel, we talk about fragrances. If this is your first time, I want to extend a warm welcome to you. If you're back, it's good to see you again. We discuss niche fragrances, designer fragrances, perfumer, anything that has to do all around fragrances. So if you're into fragrances or you just want to smell nice, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you on board with us. And now let's get into our video. Givenchy is a French fragrance house that was established in 1952. Now that's quite a while ago, but Givenchy manages to stay relevant in today's fragrance world with new releases and top-notch perfumers, such as Alberto Morillas, Nathalie Larson, Francis Demarchi, and Olivier Cresp. Those are just a few, but they're noteworthy, and Givenchy does a really good job in staying relevant with new fragrances and amazing perfumers. Givenchy has upwards of 30 collections in their fragrances. So today we're going to look at a relatively new one, and it is Gentleman Givenchy. Now they also have a Gentleman only, but this right here that we're going to look at is called Gentleman Givenchy, and there are 5 fragrances in this, and we're going to look at those today. The first one that was released by Gentleman Givenchy was in 1974. Now they re-released another one in 2017, and those two smell nothing alike. The first one from 1974 looks like this. There are also 3 iterations of this one. I believe mine is a 2018 composition. And as you go down earlier to 1974, these caps were silver. And then at some point the cap only was silver, and this was black already, and now they're completely black. So this is a newer one, and it unfortunately doesn't smell quite as intense as the original. The original is a warm, musky fragrance, and it has some civet in it. And there's some oak moss in the dry down. So unless you're in the classics, the little bit older, this is definitely an older man's, a gentleman's fragrance. But you know, you kind of grow into these smells as you get a little bit older, and it really has a wonderful dry down once you wear it for a little while. It's nothing for the younger guys, but for the older guys, the original Givenchy from 1974, even this edition, even though it doesn't last quite as long, and it doesn't, you know, it's just over time gotten lighter in the formulation. It's still a really nice fragrance in a 70s kind of style. But if you're still like, ew, this reminds me of my dad or an older relative, don't worry. In 2017, Givenchy reformulated this one, and it turned into a whole different fragrance that smells nothing like the original. While the old first release in 1974 was an oak moss, and it had some civet in it, and it was very musky and very deep. The re-release or the new reformulation of 2017 is completely different. They revamped it, they added some iris, pineapple, and pear into this fragrance, and the 2 perfumers behind the 2017 Gentleman Givenchy is Nathalie Larson and Olivier Cresp. The 2017 release comes in a box like this, and the bottle is just like that. I only bought a 50 milliliter. I didn't know whether I was going to like it. I do enjoy it very much so. Let's give it a spray real quick and see how they're doing. Nice sprayer. And so the re-release, as we noted earlier, they added some iris, pineapple, and pear to this one. This soft and powdery fragrance shares only leather and patchouli that remains from the original. Everything else are completely different notes. So this new iteration of Gentleman Givenchy 2017 smells along the lines of La Nuit de l'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent, if you know that fragrance. Now don't get upset with me. I'm not saying that they smell the same. They smell along the lines. It's kind of like if this fragrance were to drive along and got to a stop in the street and had to take a left to the original and a right to La Nuit, this fragrance would take a right to La Nuit de l'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent and not a left to the original 1974. It's maybe in the same neighborhood. So this relaunch is a great, or it's a nice creation. You get about 6 to 8 hours on your skin, closer to the 6 mark, maybe a little bit longer if you spray it on your clothes. It's an easy wear fragrance. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, you can wear it in the daytime or you can wear it at night. You decide. Now the 2017 was very much a lighter fragrance from the original 1974. And it only took Nathalie Larson or Givenchy and Olivier Cresp, it only took them about a year to figure out, hey, let's make a little bit of a heavier scent, but use the new formulation, but create an eau de parfum. And that's when they launched the Gentleman Givenchy Eau de Parfum. It's this one. And in the community, this one is most people's favorite out of this line. With the 2018 release of Givenchy Gentleman Givenchy, they added clove. They went back to the orris root. They also added some black pepper, some cinnamon. Same sprayer. And this is a really gorgeous, nice iris scent. If you like the note of iris and a little bit heavier with some black pepper and some cinnamon, this is a really good one. There's also lavender and a Tulu balsam, lots of vanilla and tonka bean in this fragrance. It's a great one to wear in the colder weather or in the evenings. It's a good date scent. They really did a good job deepening the original or the reformulation from 2017 within like a year. I guess since we kind of compared the first one to La Nuit de l'Homme and said that it smells in the same direction, you're like, okay, Peter, since you're comparing fragrances and you're saying it smells kind of like that, so what does this one smell like? Well, to me, Gentleman Givenchy smells along the line of, or lives in the same neighborhood as, Valentino Uomo or Dior Homme Intense from 2011. They both feature iris in the notes, and this one smells along the lines of. Do I think that if you had the other ones, is this a redundant fragrance? Just a little bit, although I think this is a little bit milder and it is a little bit more on the gentlemanly side. This one, the Gentleman EDP, also has good sillage. It projects really well and it lasts 8+ hours. It does a better job at the projection and the longevity than the Eau de Toilette. What's interesting is, so in the next year, in 2019, Nathalie Larson and Olivier Cresp, they kind of went back into a lighter version. That's when they came out with the cologne. The cologne looks like this. It's all white, and the bottle is also all white. Now this is probably my second favorite out of this line. They did a really good job with it. They also went back into the iris note and away from the orris note. Now if you remember, the 1974 had orris in it, then the 2017 had iris in it. The EDP went back to orris, which was a little deeper, and here they went back to the iris, which is a little bit lighter. They're both from the same plant, just give you a little bit a different kind of depth of the fragrance. The cologne version, when you first spray it, leads with bergamot, lemon. Nice sprayer on it. And this one is a real joy to wear in the summer. So 2019 release. There's also some rosemary in here as it dries down. There's also some vetiver that kind of accompanies you into the ambroxan and musk dry down. And naturally, because this fragrance is a lighter scent and it opens with lemon and bergamot and it's a cologne version, it sacrifices a good amount of the sillage and the projection. I mean, it's nowhere near the EDP. However, it's a really wonderful scent in the summer, and you just gotta go a little bit heavy on the sprayer or reapply And the ambroxan in the dry down actually lasts quite a bit. I wore this one to try it out for this video today, and to remind me how long does it actually last. And I spread it on in the morning in an air-conditioned work environment. And when I left for work at about 4 o'clock, so that's from 7:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock, I could still smell the ambroxan dry down. It's a really great dry down. Of course, the top notes in the middle were gone, but you still smelled like you had a nice fragrance on you. So we're talking, 6 hours plus or minus a little bit. And since we compared the other ones to something else, I was trying to think of what does this one smell like if I had to compare it to something else. Maybe something that you've smelled out there if you don't have this one already. If I had to compare this one to something that smells in the same neighborhood as, doesn't smell like it, I would say that Gentleman Givenchy 2019 Cologne smells in the same area as Artisan Pure from Can Varvatos. Now, Can Varvatos is a little bit more pungent, it's a little bit more stronger. So I would say that Artisan Pure from Varvatos smells like the younger, wilder brother of Gentleman Givenchy 2019 Cologne. And then in 2020, the Gentleman Givenchy line went darker again. So we had darker, lighter, and now it went darker again. And they came out with Gentleman Givenchy, and it's an eau de parfum, I believe, and it is Boisee. And Boisee in French, as far as I know, means woodland or wooded area or something like that, which means that this is going to have some wood in the fragrance and deepen the fragrance once again. The 2020 edition of Gentleman by Givenchy, the Boisee, there is some black pepper in this one. They have iris, of course, it's sort of like the note throughout all of them, or orris. And then they added coriander to this one, which gives Boisee a really unique and interesting opening. That's quite nice, actually. Box looks like this. It's black on black, and the bottle looks like this. And let's give this one a spray as well. I thoroughly enjoy the opening of this one. Same sprayer. It's really interesting, and it's away from the other ones, and in its own kind of way. Gentleman Givenchy Boisee has some cacao or cacao pod in the middle as it dries down just a little bit, and that's where the fragrance for me kind of loses my interest. Now, I wish while I was wearing this one, I was thinking the entire time, why couldn't it just stay at the top or in the middle? It would have been just a perfect fragrance, or have a different kind of dry down. Now you're wondering, okay, what is the dry down about? Well, they added some general wood scents to it. Now I would have loved this fragrance a little bit better or more if the wood was more definitive. If you'd have used, I don't know, maybe not cedar, that's too fresh, but maybe some agar wood, or maybe akigal wood, if you added some oud in there, or even darkened it a little bit more with tobacco or some rum or anything like that. But there's a general sort of wood sense. And as this fragrance dries down, as it goes through the middle, it almost smells like, what's the word, generic. As if you had a few different fragrances and they're all dried down, and you get the mass smell together in the dry down. It's still nice, it's still pleasant, but it no longer has its own sort of unique DNA. It smells more like something we've all smelled many times before. Now, in no way is Boisee a bad fragrance. It smells absolutely great at the beginning. The mid is also very nice with the cacao. It's on the drier side. It's not super sweet and smooth. I think this is a great fragrance. It does have the remnants of the Gentleman Givenchy in it. You can smell that it is in that line. However, I would wait for this one to be at the online sellers, and maybe at $70, $80, I think it's a good buy. At this point, when you buy it at the store, it's like 100 and something. I would wait for just a little while. That way you won't be disappointed in the dry down, because it is more like other fragrances in the dry down. I think the coriander and the cacao is a great addition to this gentleman line from Givenchy. It's a really good thing. I just wish it did have a different wood note in the base, or maybe, you know, some oud or something like that. This fragrance had a great opportunity to be a new direction, or a heavier direction for Givenchy in the gentleman line, but it just, for me, it falls a little bit short. But you know, 4 out of 5 is not a bad deal. And I'm not a perfumer. Maybe it wasn't possible to use anything different. I don't know. But 4 out of 5 out of the gentleman fragrances are really good. You know, you have one, the classic, which is a little bit from 1974. It's a little bit on the animalic side. Got some woods, got some moss, got some civet. Great fragrance if you like the classic smells. And this one actually dries down really nice if you're a little bit older and you appreciate the 70s. Then of course you had the remake of 2017. This one you can wear anytime, anywhere, day, night, up, down, dress it however you'd like, and you'll be good to go. It'll be your choice. That's a 2017 remake of a classic Givenchy Gentleman. And then of course 2018 you had the deeper one, the EDP. Nice addition of iris, and this is deeper, more dressy, something for the evenings, good for dinner, for date. It's a good fragrance along the line of Dior Homme Intense. And of course, then you had the Cologne, which is a great summer fragrance. It's actually one of my favorite summer fragrances to wear. This has a beautiful, bergamot, lemon, and a wonderful ambroxan dry down. It's a great summer fragrance, nice and light. Just gotta reapply it as it doesn't last too long, you know. But nice summer fragrance from Givenchy in the style of a gentleman. Okay, and that was it. 5 Givenchy gentleman fragrances from 1974 all the way to 2020. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing, love, like, share, all those wonderful things. Don't forget to hit the bell to get notified of any further videos. I am super glad you were here. Nice to spend time with you. Until next time, I want you to take good care of yourself. Always smell nice, and I'll talk to you soon. Until then, Centrail.